Chapter 30. Cam eased the front door open and saw Gramps awake in the recliner. He plunked onto the sofa and leaned over, his forearms balanced on his widespread thighs. Gramps lifted his head from his World War II book. "Cam?" Gramps asked Cam at least a dozen times a day what his name was, but if you asked him to tell you about the Battle of Saipan, he could recite the events minute by minute, as if it happened yesterday. Yup. "Doug said you'd been arrested. What happened?" "Has he been by to check on you?" "He just left." Spending the rest of his life in jail paled in comparison to telling Gramps he'd have to move out of his own home. Cam sighed. "You're going to stay with Dad. I'm going to be leaving for a while." Gramps shifted in the recliner. "The only way I'll leave here is in a black plastic bag." "You can't stay here by yourself, and I have to go away." "You don't have to do a damn thing or go a damn place." "I have no choice." "There's always a choice." Cam walked to the bookshelf behind Gramps' recliner and picked up a black and white photograph of his grandfather in his World War II uniform. Gramps glanced over his shoulder. "That was taken right before they shipped us to Saipan. Did I ever tell you about that battle?" 100 times. Gramps picked his coffee cup off the tray and took a sip. 2,000 good men died on the first day, but by nightfall, 20,000 of our soldiers made it safely to shore. It took us 6 days to secure the beaches and less than a month to secure the entire island. Smiling, Cam sat on the couch. Even though he'd heard the story many times, it never got old. The pride his grandfather felt for his country and fellow soldiers was made vibrant by his detailed account. A ping of jealousy struck Cam. Would he ever do something so admirable? Things he'd accomplished so far included dropping out of school in the 11th grade and killing 2 people. Impressive. "Does you leaving have something to do with that nice girl you brought here? I wish you'd bring her around again. What was her name?" "Maggie." "Yes, I remember now. Such a sweet girl." "I'm pretty sure you're the only one that's ever referred to her as sweet." Gramps hung his head. "Don't make me leave my house. Please." This larger-than-life man who gave so much of himself for his family and country had been reduced to begging a loser like him for the small favor of being able to stay in the house he'd lived in for more than 30 years. "Did I ever tell you the story about how I met Meemaw?" 200 times, he thought. No. Gramps covered his face with his hands. The tears fell. Cam strode to the liquor cabinet behind the sofa, grabbed the bottle of Chivas, and poured his grandfather a shot. Gramps slid his hands down his face. "What were we talking about?" "I don't remember." "Did you bring me any cigarettes?" "You don't smoke." "I don't?" "No." Cam took the empty cup. "Want some more coffee?" Gramps patted Cam's hand.
You're such a good boy.
No, I'm not. Yup.
May I speak with Cameron Wolfe?
Cam stood from the sofa and walked to the kitchen. This is him.
My name is Richard Webster. I'm your attorney.
Holding the phone with one hand, He used the other to open the dishwasher. I don't remember hiring an attorney.
I work for Zeke Chase.
I don't take charity.
There's always a choice.
Cam grabbed a glass off the top rack of the dishwasher and placed it in the cabinet.
I make $1,000 an hour, which amounts to $17 a minute. Do we really want to spend Mr. Chase's money arguing about whether you need my services or not? I'm very good at what I do, Mr. Wolfe, and I've read your case file. I can tell you with certainty you need my services.
I'll send Mr. Chase a check for $17.
We're at 2 minutes.
I don't need your services because I'm pleading guilty.
That's your prerogative, but I have to strongly...
I killed him, and I'd do it again. I'm sorry to have wasted your time. Cam hung up. Star pushed back from her desk and let out a huff. Why couldn't she get Jags out of her head? The guy was a rude and egotistical jerk. Still, his brother was arrested for murder. Jags must be going through hell. Why she cared, she had no clue. Maybe a small part of her thought Stephen got what he deserved. A decade too late, but sweet justice just the same. You lost? No. You're on the wrong floor. When Star sat in the chair beside his desk, he glared at her. Please, make yourself at home. A bit sarcastic, but who could blame him? He must be worried to death about Cam. I'm sorry about my brother. No hint of his usual cheery smile, only contempt. Yes, you cold-hearted bitch. You got steel running through your veins? Star's jaw dropped. Tilting his head, Jags peered into her gaped mouth. I take it back. Your tonsils suck. Star forced the tears back, unwilling to give him the satisfaction of making her cry again. At least not in front of him. However, she had no qualms about hiding in the bathroom later and wailing till her heart's content. But not now. Please. I don't understand. I was just... What? He stretched his neck, his eyes wide. We both know you don't give a flying fig about me or my brother. So take your rehearsed, politically correct sympathy and shove it up your backside. Tell me what the right thing is to say and I'll say it. She clasped her trembling hands on her lap. If you weren't so superficial, you wouldn't have to ask a question like that. I'd have way more respect for you if you told me you helped my brother sizzles like a big-breasted bimbo at South Beach in the dead of summer. He grunted. I'd call you a fucking bitch, but I'd have more respect for you. You don't think I'm being real? Star swallowed. Was I mincing my words? I tried to be as clear as possible. I didn't come here to upset you. Despite how you feel about me, I don't hate you. I just wanted... What reason have I given you to like me? If I recall, the last time we were together, I called you a number of uncomplimentary names. Or have you forgotten? I wish I had forgotten. And as to why I like you? She looked toward the corridor and sighed. I ask myself that very question more often than I'd like to admit. Jags's eyes narrowed. Is the non-superficial Star peeking its head out? Maggie is my best friend, and if something happens to Cam, she'll be upset, to put it mildly. So you can be assured my concern for your brother is genuine, since it's for somewhat selfish reasons. On top of that, I know why Cam did what he did. Or at least, I have a strong suspicion as to why. She stood. You want real? Well, here it is. You're a jerk. Like a bull after a red flag, Jags jolted out of his chair. His face inches from hers, she scented the spearmint in the gum he chewed. I want to know why my brother jumped Stephen, and you're going to tell me. You can't be serious. Now her legs trembled. What was next? A full-blown seizure. You've been nothing but rude, and now you want something from me? Sugar, Jags grinned. My eyes are up here. She sucked in a dramatic breath. I certainly hope you're not insinuating I was looking somewhere further south. You were looking at my mouth. Jags's grin widened. You want me to kiss you. When he leaned in, she jerked her head back and shoved past him. You arrogant jackass. I love Ty and I'm marrying him. You're the last person on this planet I want to kiss. Traipsing down the corridor, she waved her hand over her head. Have a nice life. Jags stepped into the corridor. You did that on purpose. Star turned. Heads rose over the cubicle walls. Jags gave his nosy coworkers a cursory glance and turned his focus back on Star. Just so you could turn me out. Yes, I did. Jags tilted his head toward the onlookers. We should charge admission. Why would I want to kiss a boy, man? She rolled her eyes. Boy that just insulted me. She wasn't good with witty comebacks, unless, of course, she had a few hours or even days to think about it. For that reason, Star hated confrontation and desperately wanted to win this battle of wits. So you refused as punishment for my behavior. Her hand went to her hip. There are so many reasons. For one, I don't kiss boys before noon on Mondays. Ever. She laced her trembling fingers in front of her. Come see me after lunch. I also don't kiss boys who have smiley faces on their tie. Jags loosened his tie, whipped it over his head, and dropped it. White button-down shirts are a turn-off too. He unbuttoned the top button. I think this has gone far enough. Unlike you, I actually came here to work. Star turned and walked away. She had won.